One Lego set, 10 different monsters for Dungeons & Dragons. Let's go! I've been struggling a lot with building different monsters for my Dungeons & Dragons games, as building modular monsters is kinda hard. I built my modular terrain tiles and they are very easy to connect and build new sets, new maps out of them each time. But monsters don't work the same way. I think that the LEGO Dreams and LEGO Ninjago series have a lot of promise when it comes to building monsters for Dungeons & Dragons. So I was excited to find this LEGO set that already comes with 3 different monsters. It has this big bird creature, a giant mech/angel, and a hound or wolf. But when building the official versions, I noticed they're huge. And my party's only level 4, so they're way too big to throw at them right now. Still, I love the different builds, and one thing that really stuck out to me is the head design of these creatures. I think that this bird skull really looks amazing. I love the setback eyes, awesome design. And the same is true with the hound as well. It has 5 minifigures and a bird. I've already rated the minifigures for other setups, and I've shown some of them in my recent NPC and enemies video on how to use minifigures to enhance your battles in Dungeons & Dragons. It has at least 3 white ghost faces and one in this purple color that I also think works very well for some kind of ghost or djinn or something like that. It has a very cool wig for the Nightmare Queen, Nightmare Witch, the Never Witch. So sorry, I'm not quite familiar with the Dreams mythology. And this very amazing, ghostly, spell-like bottom to place minifigures on. So even without getting into the monsters, the set has a lot to offer for use in Dungeons & Dragons. But I wanted to get a step further. These monsters are way too big to throw at my party right now. So let's break them down, break them apart, and see what we can come up with next. I took my party into the swamps, and I wanted something that fits that environment. There is this monster called Elder Oblex that I think fits the swamp vibe quite well. It is a creature that can extend its tendrils and form simulacrums of other humans that it has devoured. And so in my setting, there was a swamp village that was actually a cult for that Elder Oblex. And the cult leader was the Elder Oblex, mimicking as a townsfolk. The color scheme of the LEGO Dreams series, and especially these translucent pink parts in the set, work very well for some kind of gooey creature, I think. So an Elder Oblex being a oozy creature, I think works very well with these elements. And it's a super easy build, very quick, and still looks amazing. And that actually got me thinking of what other creatures I could build from that. And I think the LEGO Dreams series really works well for an Underdark or even Feywild setting. So all these creatures are from the monster manual, but with a twist, making the pieces fit more with the vibe, I guess. And the next thing I wanted to do was kind of a bigger humanoid creature. I went for this kind of fallen angel vibe. There are a lot of different angel varieties in the monster manual for different challenge ratings, different vibes as well. I don't think there are fallen angels per se, so this fallen angel has really tiny limbs, but I didn't want to make it too big. And the thing I noticed with the set is it has a lot of parts that makes the creatures very big very quickly. The tiny limbs are not super cool looking, but at least it keeps the size of the model down. In my build, I used a different head from the LEGO Dreams series that's not part of the set. I apologize, I only noticed after building and filming. You can, of course, just use one of the other's faces, like this pink one or one of the white ones. That would work well as well, I think. I equipped the angel with this kind of claw weapon because I thought it fit the color vibe very well. It's kind of posable, but not very much so. For me, when building these monsters, it was important that you could always easily move them around without them falling apart. So some of the design choices were because of sturdiness. They are not super sturdy, not like an official LEGO set, but at least they are rigid enough that they don't fall apart when you're playing the game. When I took apart the angel, I noticed that when I put the body in a horizontal position, it suddenly became a different vibe, and so this got me closer to this modularity I'm aiming for with the monsters. So this creature can be different things depending on how you set up the head. And if you add a tail, how long the tail is. So there is a lot of variety in this. And I think this can be a cat-like creature, like a panther. It could be an owl bear if you are going like on a very fantastical route and let your imagination add a lot of the styling around that. It could be something like an oxen or like a beast of burden of some kind with the horns on top. Or if you turn the head around, it can become something like a crustacean. There are a lot of in the monster manual. Next, I wanted to get a little bigger. Also to have less flimsy joints and less flimsy extremities. This is the build that took me the longest to come up with. I started with the feet, and I wanted something that's quite sturdy, that's stronger, that takes into account what the set is offering. And these are these very strong, posable joint connectors that are quite big. So I started with these. Then I switched over to the head because I wanted something where these gems that are part of the set would become the eyes. I didn't want to make all the monsters have the same eyes. I took these gems, I wanted to inset them, which educated a lot of the design of the head. And I tried to cover them up, make them look a little more angry, monster-like. The head became quite flat through that, but it has this devilish vibe that I kind of like. As with angels, there are a lot of different devils in the monster manual. So I think that with some fantasy added, you can make this one of the devils. With a lot of them, their names give you clues about their looks. So Bone Devil is made out of bones, a Chain Devil has chains attached everywhere. So why not make a Wing Devil that doesn't just have wings on the back, but instead has wings as their claws or their hands to strike enemies. The idea for the wings came to me because I didn't want to make this as big as the creatures included in the box, and so I didn't come up with a design for hands that's not as huge. Maybe you have some ideas, leave them in the comments if you do. But yeah, so it became a winged devil, I guess. There are two creatures that I built right out of the box when first assembling the set. The first is a kind of mechanoid spider or crab-like creature that uses the headpiece that's included for the mech in the set. And it's a super easy, quick build. You can throw this into any dungeon, I guess. It could be used as a spider or some kind of twisted version of a spider, and I think that's very easy to implement in most settings. And the other thing is kind of in the manual as well. Just in the beginning of the manual, you're building this cauldron on legs, and then you're immediately reverting that into something that's used in the other builds. It's a cute creature, and they are advertising it on the packaging as well, although it's like a little lackluster out of the box. So I tweaked it with a little like styling. The eyes are not part of the set, and I got them lying around. I guess you could just use other parts as well, but I thought it looked cute, and so excuse me for using some different parts in that are not part of this set. Of course, the builds coming with this set are awesome looking, and I could never come close to their design. I love the bird and how they use the colors and these claw-like elements as feathers. I actually like the wolf or hound as well, and I think it's cool looking, posable, has a great vibe. So definitely you can't go wrong with using them in your setting if your party is a little higher level. But until then, I noticed one thing. It's very hard to actually build stuff out of the monster manual. Okay, this might be controversial, but I think that actually a lot of the monsters in the monster manual are not very well designed. And I'm not saying that I could do better. Of course not. It's hard to come up with like these iconic characters that Dungeons and Dragons definitely has. What I'm talking about is that a lot of these monsters don't have a clear silhouette. So of course, if you think about beholders or displacer beasts, mimics, these iconic monsters that everybody, owlbears even, that everybody knows about, they have very clear silhouettes. you would know how to draw them with just a line around. There are a lot of other creatures in the monster manual that are very close to what nature provides, with just a lot of detail added to it, like mouths everywhere or something like that, that are not recognizable in silhouettes. And that's a big difference between Dungeons and Dragons and, let's say, Pokemon, or where like the shapes of Pokemon is very well recognizable. And I think it's a great achievement in design when you're able to make your characters this recognizable. And this makes it very hard to actually build them out of Lego, to take the idea of them and turn them into a model without like needing all the details. So what I decided for my games is I don't take monsters out of the monster manual or any other place one-to-one and try to adapt them in Lego. I use monster concepts that I like from the official sources or any other source, and then I redesign them, tweak them to my world and how they fit into it. So you could use the stats for an angel and make it a fallen one and just add maybe different spells to it, and now it might be easier to build. So when you're building monsters for Dungeons and Dragons, don't mind the official designs too much. You are creating your world in your design, and so you're totally free of coming up with your own stuff. Take the rules if you want something that's very well balanced and thought out. I don't think I could come up with better homebrew ideas than the official materials from a mechanical standpoint. But from a design perspective, it's my world, it's my vibe. Well, my players don't know the official guides that well. They're not going to say like, oh, this is not how an owlbear should look, or this is not how, I don't know, a beholder should look. We're creating the story at the table, and I don't think anybody would be mad if we came up with our own ideas. So let me know in the comments what other sets are great for building different kinds of monsters, and I'm happy to see you in the next video. Bye!